Hi, I'm Laura Mize, pediatric speech-language pathologist, and welcome to teachmetotalk.com's Therapy Tip of the Week. Today we're going to be talking about how to use words or an activity or vocabulary that you probably routinely use in your therapy sessions, but expand it to include some new skills. So today we're building on an activity that you might have started when you've played with baby dolls. So the first thing you'll need is to gather your baby doll clothes. Now, if you've watched any of my DVDs or heard my podcast, you'll know that when I'm doing therapy with children, I often have the activity that we're using within a container. This creates excitement, it creates anticipation because the child can see it, but guess what? He can't get to it until he requests. So it really sets up an opportunity for a child to initiate an activity with you with a verbal request, or he could even perhaps do it with a sign. So when I'm presenting, again, a new activity, I like to really hype it up and say, ooh, what's in there? Look, should we open? Tell me, open. So you're cueing the words and you're giving them a way to initiate that activity. So you have your baby clothes inside here. And again, you need more than one or two things. I've collected these doll clothes just from different baby doll sets that I've had over the years. You could use actual real baby clothes if you had access to those. And if you don't, we're going to talk in a minute about another alternative. But let's stick with this right now. So again, I have some socks here. You might even call these shoes if you have a child that can say shoes or understands the word shoe and perhaps isn't yet saying or understanding sock. You might want to use that or use it as a way to teach the new word. So I have some socks, I have some shirts, and again, it's important that you have more than one of everything so that you give a child an opportunity for mass practice. We've talked about that a lot in the last few weeks. That means just building in opportunities for the child to use the same word over and over and over within a therapy activity. And again, that's so the child can own the word. That's so he can really establish that neurological pathway so that he can recall and use that word when he needs it. Okay, you could have pajamas, a dress if it's a little girl, and hats too. And I think hats are really fun to use, and it's an easy word to say, and it's certainly something that a child can recognize. So you're going to gather your clothing items there. Okay, you've probably named them or labeled them as you've taken them out of your container, which is a great thing to do. Once you have them out, why don't you do some receptive practice? So you'll be saying, find a shirt. Let's find a shirt. Oh, can you show me the hats? And you'll really, again, practice these words from a receptive perspective as well. Another thing that I was talking about before is introducing a new spin or a new part of this activity. And this is a very Montessori-like task for you to have your little friends learn how to do. Take a rack. It could be a drying rack like for dishes. I did not have a drying rack. I just used some kind of cooking thing that I had in the cabinets, and you're going to have the children practice hanging up the clothes with clothespins. Now this is a fun thing for toddlers to do, and it builds in that opportunity for fine motor practice. And again, you could use this receptively where you're saying, get a shirt, let's hang up a shirt, and they have to select the shirt from all the clothes. You could also do it expressively with choices. You could hold the clothes back and say, which one do you want? You want a sock or a shirt? And again, you would use this for a child who was pretty frequently imitating words already. You wouldn't want to do it with a kid who, again, is working on these concepts receptively because he's just not there. It's also not a good idea to set up a child for failure. So if he's not a great single word imitator, you wouldn't use it in that way. But when a kid can do it, this would be a great way to practice these words. So you can have them hang their clothes. If you do not have any kind of object that you could use for a wire rack like that, try something like a wooden coat hanger or a wire coat hanger. You could probably hang this on a doorknob, and same kind of concept, and just practice there. If you don't have that, dig around in your junk drawer and even find a piece of string or twine. My husband had this string for something, and I dug it out. And if I were going to use this, I would just tie it perhaps between two dining room chairs. So you could use this and hang your clothes that way with clothespins. A great toy that I found to really increase participation and again make this activity really, really fun is this cute washing machine that I found for clearance at Walmart a couple of weeks ago. It was $5, so I feel like I just practically stole it. And again, it's a fun way to tie this activity in. This would be really appealing for children who seek out visual stimulation. These are your friends who like to watch things spin. They watch the fans, they watch Thomas's wheels. They're always, or maybe their little faces are right in front of the television when they're watching. So this would be a cool toy and a way to really hook their attention and have them want to play with you. And I'll just stick a hat in, and you can see how this works. Close the door, and then watch it. Wow. Spin, spin, spin! You might target the word wash with this. If you had children that didn't seem to understand that, maybe you could use some sponges and talk about washing the clothes that way. Again, it would be another fun way to introduce a new verb. So this is a great opportunity and a cool new toy that I wanted to show you. Oh, it stays on unless it's finished the cycle or unless you open the door. So we'll stick that over there. If you don't have a lot of baby clothes, you can make your own little clothes for just $1 or $2. Go to Walmart or Ben Franklin or Michael's or any kind of craft store and get some colored felt, and you can just cut out some little clothes using a template. You can also use these little clothes for the activity that we just talked about, or maybe for a cognitive focus. If you're a special instructor, if you're a developmental interventionist or a developmental therapist, you might use your little clothes for matching activities. Lots of us think about matching activities in terms of matching by color, so your children can certainly do that. You know, we're going to find all the clothes that are green. So we have a green skirt, a green dress, green pants, green shorts. What I would like you to do from a language perspective is work on it with the name or with the noun of the clothing item. So, and again, this will be a real challenge for some of your children who have only learned how to match with identical objects that are the same color. So this will be a way to really challenge that cognitive system. If you can say, you know, you might have all the clothes out, and again, you'll have to determine what your set size is by how much a kid can tolerate. Usually if you were doing this with an older toddler, I would put out, you know, at least 3 or 4 of the same item. You might only begin with, you know, shirts, shorts, and dresses, but you're going to want to have enough variety out there for them to look through, but not so much that they're overwhelmed. So in this instance, you might say, let's find all the shirts. If a kid can't do that, you can give a visual cue and say, like this, shirts, find the shirts. And so you might even have to do some pointing or some hand-over-hand assistance to help him identify that. But what a great way for a kid to practice matching, but you put your language spin on that. So that's a great way to do that too. Kids who are on the spectrum, who like to sort, who are naturally drawn to activities like this would be a great way for them to maybe use it as their break in between other kinds of more challenging activities for them. You could have them sort them into piles, again, by color or by category. Another way you could use this is as a receptive activity or an auditory processing activity. You have your several clothing items out there, and you could say, let's find an orange shirt. So a kid really, again, has to listen for 2 important pieces of information, the color and the noun there, to be sure that they're getting the right thing. Now, this is a big challenge for a lot of kids, and you might be surprised the kids on your caseload who can do it, and then the kids who struggle. So a great way to practice this, using a fun little toy like my washing machine here, also increases the reward and it entices the child to stay with you and practice something that may be a bit of a challenge for him or for her. That's all for this week. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you back next week for teachmetotalk.com's Therapy Tip of the Week.